identity became an outlet for him to just abuse me more. I was fortunate to have a mom who accepts me and a stepdad who became my new father. Because of them and their support, I was able to start taking testosterone according to medically proven WPATH international standards, supported by many studies, including a 40-year long-term outcome study published in 2022. However, a lot of transgender people my age do not have that kind of family support, and with the bills being proposed all over the country, now they don't even have the support of their own government. It is not fair for our rights to be taken away because our lives are being taken away. Transgender teens are 7.6 times more likely to commit suicide than cisgender teens. In 2020, I was almost part of that statistic. It was only through the support of my family that I was able to get through it, but others do not have that support. In 2022, 1 in 5 transgender youth attempted suicide compared to 1 in 10 cisgender youth. However, a study from American Academy of Pediatrics found a 73% decrease in suicidality among transgender youth who had access to gender-affirming care. My access to gender-affirming care saved my life. I want others to have that same opportunity. I'm tired of seeing my brothers and sisters die because they are being denied their rights.
Order, please. Our next speaker is Prisha Mosley. Ms. Mosley, you'll have 1.5 minutes at the mic. Please identify yourself.
My name is Prisha Mosley. I'm a woman who has suffered severe and lasting injuries caused by so-called gender-affirming care as a minor in North Carolina. This care included the medical invention to make my body appear as that of a male. As a teenager, I suffered from a number of mental health issues, which you have heard about, including OCD, borderline personality disorder, anxiety, and depression. I also suffered trauma from sexual assault, and I engaged in self-harm. At 17, after meeting with me for a matter of minutes, a counselor told me that I was actually a boy and that changing my body to be more like a boy's would fix my mental health issues. Around the same time, a doctor prescribed me testosterone. While I was still 17, a surgeon familiar with breast reduction surgery for women met with me and expressed eagerness in performing a gender-affirming top surgery on me. At 18, my healthy breasts were cut off and incinerated. As a result of these healthcare providers' actions, I have suffered severe and lasting injuries. These injuries are both psychological and physical in nature. My body did not develop the way it should have and does not function normally. I'm unable to nurse a child, and I don't know if I will be able to conceive. I suffer pain and irreversible changes to my genitals. My voice has been permanently damaged. My larynx, crushed by the overgrowth in my throat caused by testosterone, prevents me from singing and even raising my voice. Even speaking for long periods hurts. My body aches every day. I suffer daily with phantom breast syndrome, a waking nightmare in which I am haunted by the ghosts of missing body parts. I suffer from chronic pain and a host of additional medical issues and psychological and emotional anguish as a result of.
Thank you. Representative Shepherd, you're recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a motion for a favorable report for the PCS for Senate Bill 631 and a favorable referral to rules. Thank you.
Representative Shepherd moves for a favorable report to the PCS for Senate Bill 631 and favorable to the original bill with the serial referral to House rules. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. The next bill on our calendar.
You didn't let us speak and you didn't listen to me. This is just like 819. You put your name on this, you better read it, you better stand by it.
The next bill is Senate Bill 389, parental consent for blood donations. Representative Baker, do you have just talk about PCS? Catherine Moore is here from the Board of Nursing, so I think it would be okay to let her do that if you just want to make a motion to have the PCS heard. Okay. So moved. Ms. Moore and Senator Mayfield. Senator Mayfield, if Ms. Moore could speak to the PCS first, you all can stand there together, but just let her speak first, since we need to just make sure everybody, the PCS was sent out, but for those that have not heard it, if you could just talk about that, Catherine.
Good morning, Catherine Moore. I'm a legislative liaison for the North Carolina Board of Nursing. I'm just speaking to Section 2 of the PCS that went out. It's to make clarifying technical and clarifying changes to Section 4.3 of Session Law 2023-14 as it relates to the midwifery statutes only. And this is to provide clarity for the rulemaking process as rules were drafted for that process. It clarifies that the joint subcommittee referenced in General Statute 90-18.2 includes the 4 additional members that are currently by law part of the Midwifery Joint Committee. This includes 2 certified nurse midwives and 2 obstetricians who have a working practice or have practiced with certified nurse midwives. It also clarifies the rulemaking authority of the Midwifery Joint Committee and just provides that clarity around the definitions so that proper rulemaking can take place.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Senator Mayfield.
Thank you and good morning. I will speak to the first part of the bill, which is the original bill that came over. This bill is the result of a tragic accident in which a young man died after donating blood. He had a heart condition, donated blood without his parents knowing about it, and later passed out, hit his head, and died. And his parents, who used to be constituents of Senator Heiss's and are now constituents of mine, have been asking for this change since his death. And again, it just requires parental consent for 16 and 17-year-olds to donate blood. I worked with the Red Cross on this, and they say that most schools already require parental consent for donating blood anyway. So they did not have, there was no opposition to this proposal.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Mayfield. Representative Belt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just, that was my question, because what, 16 and 17-year-olds and in schools and being able to, I know when I gave blood as an adult, suddenly I almost passed out, and I was lucky that a volunteer was there to ease me onto the cot. And so I know that it is across the country, it's hard, we have a shortage of blood and people giving blood. So what you were telling me is that the Red Cross is fine with this and they don't see any problem in trying to make it a little bit more difficult for people to give blood.
That is correct. Yes, we were very specific with that for the reasons you cite. We did not want to create a huge barrier to people giving blood. But again, they say that a lot of schools already require this, so they did not have any concerns about it. Okay, thank you.
Representative Shepherd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would this also apply to plasma as well, or is that a different situation?
Senator Mayfield.
I think this is just giving blood. So this is designed for situations, blood drives in schools. And I don't think they do plasma donations at schools. So.
Seeing no further questions, Representative Baker, you're recognized. Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Lambert.
I don't want to prolong this because I think this is a good bill, but I did want to tell you a little bit about the rest of the story. And I do not know this family, but Senator Heiss shared this with me. And I'm just going to read this to you. The student had health problems since infancy and had been advised by his doctors to avoid many activities that most teens considered normal. Despite these limitations, the student was able to play football as a kicker during some of his high school career, where he notably kicked a 23-yard game-winning field goal in a playoff game, amongst other accomplishments. You know, we struggle sometimes with many of the issues we deal with, but this was a real tragic situation for this young man to have lost his life. And I think we should thank you for bringing this bill forward, as well as the family who's gone through this tragic loss, but also to celebrate this young man who had made a disability or certainly handicap to be as normal as he possibly could be. So I'd make the motion that we approve this and move it to the next level.
Thank you, Representative Lambeth. Representative Lambeth moves for a favorable report to PCS Senate Bill 389, unfavorable to the original bill with the serial referral to House rules. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion is approved. Thank you so much, Senator Mayfield. We appreciate you being here. Thank you, Ms. Moore, for coming from the Board of Nursing. We appreciate you always for your support. Our last bill today is a happy bill. House Bill 852, the Representative Becky Carney Cardiac Arrest Act. And Representative Ball, the lead primary, will be presenting today. Representative Ball.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Reeder, Representative Lambeth, and Representative Zinger and I, along with 51 bipartisan House co-sponsors, are honored to bring this important bill to you this morning, prompted by several examples of life-threatening emergencies of sudden cardiac arrest deaths occurring at public school athletic activities in our state, as well as the prominent story we've heard about the football player who had, well, we know all that story. Rowan County high school athlete in July 21 collapsed during a softball game. A North Carolina high school soccer player collapsed during practice last year, and an AED was fortunately available to restart his heart. And I understand that some of our members have had such emergencies occur in their districts. And most recently, at Broughton High School in Raleigh, Kiana Joe, a Harnett County student in her senior year, collapsed in March at a cheerleading competition practice. Her mother, Andrea Joe, with medical training and at the event, as she always was for her daughter, jumped into action, performing CPR until an AED could quickly be brought to her. And with it, she shocked her daughter's heart back to beating. Andrea Joe has been speaking out since then, asking that we ensure that there are AEDs at every school's athletic events. Although these situations do not end in the most awful tragedy of death, they very well could have, and unfortunately they often do. It has been estimated that currently there are over 1.5 million North Carolina students who are at risk of experiencing sudden cardiac arrest, which is the #1 cause of death for student athletes in the country. Some overall sobering statistics from the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Foundation of these instances outside of hospital settings, striking people of all ages, including children and teens. Today, only 1 in 10 survive SCA if no or insufficient emergency care is done. It's the 3rd leading cause of death in the United States. If bystanders give CPR and use AEDs immediately, survival rates increase by 74%. 356,000 people experience SCA each year, of which roughly 7% are youth younger than 18. This bill will ensure that all North Carolina public schools have an AED accessible in their main buildings and, importantly, also their athletic facilities, and that responsible individuals are appropriately trained to administer them after using CPR, which they are also trained to administer. The state board will adopt rules to implement, maintain, and train in the use of AEDs in all schools, including charter and regional schools. To ensure that all schools have AEDs and personnel trained to administer them, this bill allocates $9.2 million for the 23-24 fiscal year from the American Rescue Plan Act Temporary Savings Fund, funds we already have, to DPI to be allocated by the Superintendent of Public Instruction to governing bodies of public school units on a first-come, first-served basis. And I'll close with a story that truly hits us right here, literally in this committee, here in the General Assembly. On April 2nd, 2009, the life of our member, Representative Becky Carney, was saved after she collapsed at her desk in the same office she is in now, because there was CPR administered quickly and there was access to an AED and personnel trained to do that. Of interest is that the AED in our legislative building is the one that her freshman class had given to the General Assembly. Therefore, we ask that we be allowed to present this bill and name it for her, the Representative Becky Carney Cardiac Arrest Act. And oh, here he is. Representative Reeder, would you like to add something?
I think that
Representative Reeder.
thank you. The data is overwhelming. What saves lives is defibrillation and the AEDs. While CPR, pushing on the chest, is important, the only thing that's shown to save lives is rapid access to an AED. And time is of essence. So having them in schools and at athletic facilities is incredibly important. So I would ask you and urge you to support this bill.
Thank you. Representative Lambeth?
I actually, when Representative Ball talked to me about this bill, I also jumped on it real quick. Thought it was a great idea because I've had a number of kids in my district who actually died. A couple, I went to their funeral when I was chairman of the school board there in Forsyth County. And this was back before we had trainers, back before we had many of the technologies we had today. And the devastation to those families was certainly something that I could not appreciate. But the second reason was because she wanted to name this bill the Becky Carney Cardiac Arrest Act. And, you know, I would tell you that there are many things we don't agree on. There's many things that we sometimes get into debates and differences of opinion, and we come from different backgrounds. But I have worked with Becky Carney, gosh, I don't know how many committees, and she's co-chaired with the committee on COVID with me. And I've grown to really respect this lady. And the second reason that I agreed to do this was because of Becky Carney. And I will continue to see if there's ways we can get this funded in the budget or some other way. I think it's an important bill, but it's also important to recognize one of our fellow legislators who had an event. And fortunately, she's still here. And I'm certainly glad that she's still here with us. And I want to support her in any way I can. So thank you. And thank you for bringing the bill. I will do all I can to make sure we get this into law.
Representative Shepherd?
Just real quick, I want to echo Representative Lambert's comments. Since I've been here since 2010, Representative Carnby has been one of those people that you really respect and you look up to. And I'm thankful. She cares about each one of us individually. And when I was having my kidney transplant, she constantly reminds me, are you eating too much salt? You're not supposed to eat all that salt. And I do appreciate it, even though I still eat some salt, Representative Carney. And I couldn't think of a better person to name the bill after. Thank you.
Representative Sasser?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I like to hear all the great stories about the people that have been saved by defibrillators, but we also need to remember in our YMCA in Albemarle, we lost two. One was an SBI agent. One was a husband and a father of two that the wife worked for me at the drugstore. And before we wised up and got a defibrillator at the YMCA. So there's no question this is a great bill, and I support it and ask you to support it.
Representative Wheatley?
Again, it is a great bill. We've had defibrillators around for a long time, watched folks have to use them. I talked with Dr. Reeder about how advanced he knows that the technology is with the smart pads, which our first responders need, and I'm in full support. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further hands up, I would like to offer the courtesy of the podium for Representative Carney to stand in front while we have the motion by Representative Bell. Would you please come, Representative Carney? I'm serious. The courtesy of the chair can make things happen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for honoring her in that way.
And you go right in front, right in the center. Representative Bell, you're recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is my pleasure and my honor to ask that we move for favorable for House Bill 852 entitled the Representative Becky Carney Cardiac Arrest Act with a referral to appropriations and a serial referral to the House and Rules and House.
And Representative Belk has done all of the points, so I will not repeat that. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I would think you would need to run out of here, but all opposed? The motion is passed. Congratulations. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.